Well, hi. I thought I would update you on my journey, and I believe it's been about 3 weeks. I am in Silver Spring, Maryland, at the prosthetic clinic and the amputee training center. Um, the place where I come is called Center Orthotics and Prosthetics, and they partner up with Adventist Healthcare Rehabilitation to provide amputee training for their prosthetic devices. So I landed here through a friend named Emily, as well as Chandler. Excuse me. Back in November, I was struggling with accepting really what the former prosthetists were trying to do for my prosthetic leg. And if you haven't watched that video, 2 videos ago, I discussed changing prosthetics, or really prosthetists, not prosthetics. Sorry, I got a tickle in my throat here. But I thought that I would explain how I got here. So back in November, I was struggling with where I was with prosthetic care and having to make a metal plate so that the connector could be connected to the leg as well as to me. So it caused me some pause when I made the plate with my neighbor, and I took some steps with that. And although I was successful in taking some steps, intellectually I thought, this metal plate is not one that is made by any of the manufacturers, and would they void warranties on a $100,000 leg or components of a $100,000 leg if it wasn't one of their parts and if it wasn't approved? And I mean, common sense would tell you that, yeah, they would probably very much void any warranty. And it's been a difficult journey to get insurance to cover the prosthetic leg to begin with. So I'm not in a position to void warranties on parts for a leg that is $100,000. So I was venting to Emily and as well as Chandler, and I was also inquiring, did they have any other experience with other prosthetists. Chandler is a prosthetist and was willing to weigh in, on some advice for other prosthetists. Chandler's way too far, really, away from me, although I was willing to go wherever I could to get a leg that was functional, or allowed me to be functional. But really, he's too far away. And he knew of a guy named Mike in Maryland. I live in Delaware. Though Maryland can be very close, it also can be, hours away, depending upon what part of Maryland we would be talking about. But it was closer than what Chandler was to me. So he provided me with Mike's name. And then Emily, by no surprise to me, had been at a conference for osseous integration. Why no surprise? Because God works in ways that we just don't know. And she had been to an osseous integration conference in North Carolina, and she had heard 2 prosthetists speaking with whom she was very impressed by. And in talking with her about my frustrations, she asked me again, now where exactly do you live? And I think that these folks were from Maryland. And she gave me the name of Ian and Mike. Ironically, the Mike name was the same person. And the clinic with which they work and Mike happens to own is called, again, Medical Center for Orthotics and Prosthetics. And it's about 2 hours away at best from my home with no traffic. It could be longer because we're talking about the Beltway around Washington, D.C., and we're also talking about the Bay Bridge. And if anybody's ever traveled the Bay Bridge, it can be a challenge for traffic. Anyway, I reached out to Mike and Ian. I'm not sure if it was the same night that I spoke with Emily or if it was the following morning. However, I wrote them. And about 10 days later, I would say, roughly speaking, less than 2 weeks, I was in their clinic for a consultation. Really for them to look at me to see if they thought they could be of assistance, and then for me to see if it was a good fit for me. And there was equal number of questions from them to me and me to them, which was a little bit new because that wasn't really the case with the former prosthetist. So at the end of that 45-minute-ish session that I had with them in the exam room, they invited me to come out into the gym area. And they invited me to come out into the gym area because I had asked the question, what happens once you figure out a leg for me? What happens next? Is there gait training? Is there any physical therapy? Like, what's involved with your clinic, and what programs do you have established? And they invited me to come out into what they called the gym. And in the gym, I'll talk about the equipment first. Let's see, there's recumbent bikes, there's a mat table, there are parallel bars, there are ramps, there are steps, there's a bunch of other supporting pieces of equipment like balls and balance boards and just a whole host, just like a physical therapy clinic might be. It was fully staffed, fully functional. Aside from the equipment, that particular day there were 3 Ukrainian soldiers. There was actually reporters and videographers. There was a translator. Let's see. The physical therapist was obviously there, working with them. The prosthetists were working with the individuals. And then there was the former Olympic coach and his wife of Mike, the clinic owner. I was so fortunate to be able to spend actually a few hours in the gym area in the clinic, and I was able to have a conversation with the former Olympic coach of Mike, and I began to understand what was happening at this clinic. And in very brief, although it's really not a brief story, the Olympic coach for the United States maintained a relationship with the Olympic coach from Ukraine in the sport with which they were competing. And when the war began, I'm not sure exactly how much information the United States Olympic coach had, but he certainly knew that there were going to be casualties of war, injuries of war, and he reached out to the Ukrainian coach to inquire of how he could be of help. Long story short, they developed a foundation to bring Ukraine soldiers to the United States for prosthetic care. And that was because the Olympic coach of Mike certainly knew that he was a prosthetist, and it was, a collaborative effort between the Olympic coach in the United States, the Olympic coach in Ukraine, Mike, some diplomats. I believe there's a few senators here in the area that were instrumental in organizing and orchestrating this whole mission to be able to help Ukraine soldiers with prosthetic limbs. They do not have prosthetic care in Ukraine like we do here in the United States. We are very blessed to have the services that we do here in the United States. So I was able to have conversation just in general about the clinic, about Mike, and gosh, I really felt so incredibly blessed to, number one, have the opportunity to meet these individuals, and two, to have the opportunity to be a patient, because at the end of that 45-minute segment, Ian said you'll have a decision, to make on if you're going to stay with your current prosthetist or if you're going to transfer your care here. So I knew that they were going to accept me, and now I had to determine if I was going to transfer care. At the end of the 45 minutes, I knew there wasn't any question after the consultation. But the gym experience absolutely sealed the deal. Like, if the clinic was run in a way like an Olympian trains, it's a weird concept, but if you think about what it takes to become an Olympic athlete, the sacrifices, the physical effort, the nutritional components, the sheer grit, perseverance, time. I mean, when you think about what it takes to be an Olympic athlete, if half of those principles were applied to running this business, you'd be in good hands. You'd be in good hands. And man, oh man, am I in good, better than good, excellent hands. Ian is my personal prosthetist. However, Mike has weighed in, and he has stepped in when Ian wasn't here to make some adjustments for me. Both of them are phenomenal. I wish there was a word that would be more than phenomenal, that I could explain the wealth of knowledge, the intuitiveness, the willing to solve problems, to think. It's those same principles, just in a different venue as far as Olympic athlete to prosthetist. But tirelessly, effortlessly working for the benefit of their patients. Mike and Ian and the group of prosthetists here are very well versed in dealing with complicated cases, because they have a relationship with Walter Reed, as well as other hospitals in the area. And they have been known to be the folks to send the complicated cases to, and they solve them. There are countless cases, countless times that they have solved it when other people have not been able to do so. So to say that I'm overwhelmed with gratitude for Emily and Chandler and their direction, giving me direction in this area, as far as prosthetist and prosthetic care, I'm eternally grateful. While neither one of them have had care by this clinic, they have information and their own personal experience with their prosthetist, and they cared enough to share the information with me. So what's transpired since I've come here? wow. After that first visit with them, it was two weeks later that I returned for a fitting with the leg. There was a humongous hiccup on my part. There is a part of my leg that it transitions from my implant to my leg, and it's called a connector. Let me show you here. So this metal piece here with this set screw is called a connector. And I needed to bring this piece with me because it is part of the whole surgical procedure. And you get this this piece, and I needed to bring it so that this could be connected to my leg, and then that whole thing connected to my implant. I forgot it. What the world? I forgot it. So the first time that I could have tried on the leg, use the leg, I was unable to because I forgot the connector. And one might think, well, certainly they have one. I'm going to leave it here. There are more than one style of implant for osseous integration. They, most of the time, I don't know if I would say all the time. I might actually be their first. I don't know. I'm pretty sure I could be their first of this style of implant. So they don't have any extra pieces or parts. So they didn't have an extra one. But we did work on my leg. We were doing some measurements and making some minor adjustments as far as height of different components. And then we were able to discuss the plan moving forward. So the following week, I was able to bring the connector. Well, as soon as I got home, I put it in my bag. So I did not forget it. But anyway, the following week, I returned and we put the connector on the leg and we put the leg on me, made some adjustments, stood for the very first time on this leg, stood for the first time, one actually that was fitted to me. The one before hadn't been fitted. Even the one that I walked with that I made the metal implant for, I mean, it had been put together, but it wasn't actually fitted to me. So that was another probably crazy thing on my part to actually try to walk with something that hadn't been adjusted to me. But it was generally my height, and it was generally safe for me to try. Anyway, that second week when I returned, I walked for the first time. I can't begin to describe what it felt like to simply stand and stand upright, and the whole walking. It was crazy. 14 years of not being able to walk and taking steps on a prosthetic leg designed for me. Yeah. Not gonna cry. Not gonna cry. Don't cry. Okay, don't cry. Okay, I'm not crying. You're crying. Anyway, it was amazing. I was using the parallel bars in the fitting room. There's actually multiple fitting rooms, and then there's a gym. So the clinic is not just a single room or many exam rooms. There's fitting rooms and exam rooms, and anyway, enough about that. But we were able then to discuss what was going to transpire moving forward, and they were asking me to be here 2 days a week, and could I do it back-to-back days, and that would allow me to stay over and spend more time each day. 2 hours back and forth, would be 4 hours. Obviously, simple math at its best, but coming over early in the morning could be bad because of traffic. Going back late in the day could be bad because of traffic. So it made sense to make plans to stay the night between the 2 days of receiving care, which is what we began to establish. So let's see, that was, I got in 2 days before Thanksgiving for my first consultation. 2 weeks later, I would have tried on the test leg, forgot the abutment. The day or the week following, I did try the test leg. Let me think. I came each week leading up to Christmas. So let me see how that worked out. I think it was really only 1 week before Christmas by the time you put all those weeks in there. I didn't look at the calendar before I started making the video. But I remember that I was here before Christmas, and I had hoped that the test leg that I had been working with is one that I could bring home for Christmas. And I remember saying to Ian, am I going to get to bring the test leg home for Christmas? I don't know. I thought it would be such a gift for myself as well as for my kids and my family because we've been on this journey for a long time. And I just thought, what better time than Christmas? Unfortunately, that didn't work out, but that's perfectly okay. After Christmas, I was on vacation. Really not vacation, but I guess so in some ways. I was on vacation. Ian was on vacation. The physical therapist that I see, his name is Farhad. He was also on vacation. So anyway, it was, I guess, 2 weeks following Christmas before I returned. And I guess New Year's, between Christmas and New Year's, yeah. So I have had the test leg now 4 weeks. I was able to bring it home the week when I returned back to the clinic here. I'm sitting outside the clinic, by the way. I'm waiting for my appointment. So I thought this would be a good time to do the video. Let's see. So 3 weeks, now going on 4 weeks rather, of having the test leg. And I've made great strides. I can walk without any assistive devices, although I do walk better with one forearm crutch. And so now the challenge will be to work towards the same gait pattern without the use of assistive device. It's going phenomenal. I will include some videos of my progression and an explanation in the video near the end. I'm going to also make a few videos. I have them in my mind of things that I need to make. What do you do when you need to change prosthetist or want to change prosthetist? What does that look like? That will be a video because I think it's very important to share what I experienced and my advice on that topic. I also will be doing a video on attending a conference in New York City on osseous integration put on by my surgeon, Dr. Rosbrook. My case was shared there, so you'll want to watch that. And then I have some ideas with regard to sharing what my leg looks like, the componentry of my leg, how it works. and just maybe everyday dealings with having a prosthetic leg. So, and many other ideas, but you can kind of see what's coming. Unless, of course, something between the time that I publish this video and publish the next video, if there's something that becomes obvious that I need to film about, that the Lord prompts me to do, I certainly will do that. So I think I'm going to wrap up the video and say that Medical Center Orthotics and Prosthetics in Silver Spring, Maryland is the bomb. And any place that they have a clinic, I think they have 13, check them out if you're an amputee. If you know somebody who's an amputee who's struggling with their socket or their prosthetic in general, recommend that they go have a consultation and see if there's anything more that can be done for them. You never know if there is a better fit or better solution out there. So until the next time, have a very blessed day.
Suffered catastrophic injuries in the war in Ukraine. Aaron Gilchrist now with those who serve.
Blast by blast, Russia's war in Ukraine has exacted a devastating toll on both civilians and soldiers. For these 3 Ukrainian soldiers, the impact has been life-changing. Serhai missing an arm, Alexander half his left leg, and Dmitro missing his right leg right up to the hip. Mike Corcoran making it his mission to get these men the help they couldn't get back at home in a war zone.
They didn't have the technology available or the know-how to treat this type of injury, so they were told their life's either going to be on crutches and or wheelchairs.
Corcoran believes upwards of 5,000 soldiers have lost limbs to blast injuries since the war started. So far, he and his team at Medical Center Orthotics and Prosthetics have worked with 7 soldier amputees, already committing more than $500,000 toward donating state-of-the-art limbs.
Utilizing that prosthesis to daily function, feeding yourself, clothing yourself, stuff we take for granted becomes exponentially harder.
Serhai quickly picking up how to use his muscles to get his new arm to lift and his new hand to grab. Alexander flexing his new knee, moving without a cane or crutches, The first time the 34-year-old has done that in half a year.
What are you thinking right now?
He's very excited and full of emotions, and he really happy that he has this.
The most complex limb going to Dimitro, a motorized full leg.
Start out with the left leg.
A little trickier to master, but within minutes. Smiling, Dimitro says, because it's all more than he expected. Dimitro was a sniper in the Ukrainian army, and he makes one thing clear: no translator needed.
You're going back to the fight? Yes.
He won't go back to that job, but Corcoran is confident these men will find other ways to fight for their country.
It's a lot of work, it's a lot of money, it's a lot of time. Why do it?
They may not tell you this, but you can read it in their body language that they have a second chance. That's very rewarding.
Aaron Gilchrist, NBC News, Silver Spring, Maryland.
And that's Nightly News for this Wednesday. Thank you for watching.